Okay, now we're going to do reading, so you'll need your reading book and your practice book. So we're going to read the art lesson, and that's on page 292, and we're going to fill out the page 158. Okay, we're going to fill out page 158. So, luckily on page 158, it tells us what page we're looking at, and then we need to tell what the author is thinking, what we think the author is thinking. And it's going to give us clues to answer what we think the author is thinking. Obviously, we don't know because we're not the author, but we're going to use the clues to try to figure out what the author is thinking. So, The Art Lesson by Tommy DePaulo, and he also drew the pictures. Tommy knew he wanted to be an artist when he grew up. He drew pictures everywhere he went. It was his favorite thing to do. So, page 293 comes up on our practice book page, and it says Tommy drew blank everywhere he went. What did Tommy draw? Very good. Pictures. So you're going to write pictures down. Okay, turn the page. His friends had favorite things to do too. Jack collected all kinds of turtles. Herbie made huge cities in his sandbox. Jeannie, Tommy's best friend, could do cartwheels and stand on her head. But Tommy drew and drew and drew. His twin cousins, who were already grown up, were in art school learning to be real artists. They told him not to copy and to practice, practice, practice. So he did. So remember that. They told him not to copy. That's important to know. Turn the page. Tommy put his pictures up on the walls of his half of the bedroom. His mom put them up all around the house. His dad took them to the barbershop where he worked. So his parents putting them up. They were very proud of his drawings, weren't they? Turn the page. Tom and Nana, Tommy's Irish grandfather and grandmother, had his pictures in their grocery store. Nana Fall River, his Italian grandmother, put one in a special frame on the table next to the photograph of Aunt Chloe in her wedding dress. So they were also very proud. Once, Tommy took a flashlight and a pencil under the covers and drew pictures on his sheets. But when his mom changed the sheets on Monday and found them, she said, "No more drawing on the sheets, Tommy." So, let's go back. Tommy drew his pictures on his what? His sheets. Very good. So then let's go to the box next to it and answer the question. What does the author think about drawing? What do you think he thinks about drawing? That he likes it, he thinks it's fun, right? Drawing is fun. He loves to draw. Drawing is fun. Remember, these are sentences, so they need periods, capitals at the beginning, periods at the end. Okay, turn the page. His mom and dad were having a new house built, so Tommy drew pictures of what it would look like when it was finished. When the walls were up, one of the carpenters gave Tommy a piece of bright blue chalk. Tommy took the chalk and drew beautiful pictures all over the unfinished walls. But when the painters came, his dad said, "That's it, Tommy. No more drawing on the walls." Tommy couldn't wait to go to kindergarten. His brother Joe told him there was a real art teacher who came to the school to give art lessons. "When do we have our art lessons?" Tommy asked the kindergarten teacher. "Oh, you won't have your art lessons until next year," said Miss Bird. But we are going to paint pictures tomorrow." So he doesn't get art lessons from the art teacher, but he still gets to paint pictures, so he's still happy. It wasn't much fun. The paint was awful, and the paper got all wrinkly. Miss Bird made the paint by pouring different colored powders into different jars and mixing them with water. The paint didn't stick to the paper very well, and it cracked. So what she's using is powdered paint. and it does crack because I had to use that when I was a kid. And it paints, and as soon as it dries, it starts cracking and starts floating away. So let's go back to page 158. In kindergarten, the blank didn't stick to the paper. What didn't stick to the paper? The paint. Good. The paint did not stick to the paper. If it was windy when Tommy carried his picture home, the paint blew right off the paper. At least you get more than one piece of paper in kindergarten, his brother Joe said. When the art teacher comes, you only get one piece. So let's go back to 158. In the wind, the paint blew off the what? The paper. Very good. So then we can also answer this question. What does the author think about painting in kindergarten? It's not fun, is it? It's awful. It was awful. The paint doesn't stick. It's powder paint. It doesn't stay on the paper. It's not much fun. Okay, let's turn the page. Tommy knew that the art teacher came to school every other Wednesday. He could tell she was an artist because she wore a blue smock over her dress, and she always carried a big box of thick-colored chalks. Once Tommy and Jeannie looked at the drawings that were hung in the hallway. They were done by the first graders. Your pictures are much better, Jeannie told Tommy. Next year, when we have real art lessons, you'll be the best one. Tommy could hardly wait. He practiced all summer. Then, on his birthday, which was right after school began, his mom and dad gave him a box of 64 Crayola crayons. Regular boxes of crayons had red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet, brown, and black. This box had so many other colors: blue, violet, turquoise, red, orange, pink, and even gold, silver, and copper. Class, said Miss Landers, the first grade teacher, next month the art teacher will come to our room, so on Monday, instead of singing, we will practice using our crayons. On Monday, Tommy brought his 64 crayons to school. Miss Landers was not pleased. Everyone must use the same crayons, she said. School crayons. School crayons had only the same old 8 colors. As Miss Landers passed them out to the class, she said, "These crayons are school property, so do not break them, peel off the paper, or wear down the points." So why use them, right? How can you use crayons without wearing down the points? I never understood that one. How am I supposed to practice being an artist with school crayons? Tommy asked Jack and Herbie. That's enough, Tommy, Miss Landers said. And I want you to take those birthday crayons home with you and leave them there. And Joe was right. They only got one piece of paper. It's kind of tough in first grade, doesn't it? Finally, the day of the art lesson came. Tommy could hardly sleep that night. The next morning, he hid the box of 64 crayons under his sweater and went off to school. He was ready. The classroom door opened, and in walked the art teacher. Miss Landers said, "Class, this is Mrs. Bowers, the art teacher. Patty, who is our paper monitor this week? Will give out one piece of paper to each of you. And remember, don't ruin it because it's the only piece you'll get. Now pay attention to Mrs. Bowers." Kind of scary, huh? Can't make a mistake. Class, Mrs. Bowers began, because Thanksgiving is not too far away, we will learn to draw a pilgrim man, a pilgrim woman, and a turkey. Watch carefully and copy me. Copy? Tommy knew that real artists didn't copy. This was terrible. This was supposed to be a real art lesson. He folded his arms and just sat there. "Now what's the matter?" Miss Landers asked. Tommy looked past her and spoke right to Mrs. Bowers. "I'm going to be an artist when I grow up, and my cousins told me that real artists don't copy. And besides, Miss Landers won't let me use my 64 Crayola crayons." Okay, let's go back to page 158. It says Tommy wanted to use his own 64 crayons, right? crayons. Tommy told the art teacher, real artists don't copy. Okay, so we can answer the question. What does the author think about real artists? Well, let's look at the first thing. He wanted to use the 64 crayons rather than the same old 8 colors, so they use lots of colors, right? Real artists use lots of colors. And let's look at the next one. Tommy told the art teacher, real artists don't copy. And don't copy. Okay, let's find out what happens. Well, well, Mrs. Bowers said, what are we going to do? She turned to Miss Landers, and they whispered together. Miss Landers nodded. Now, Tommy, Mrs. Bowers said, it wouldn't be fair to let you do something different than the rest of the class. But I have an idea. If you draw the pilgrim man and woman and the turkey, and if there is any time left, I'll give you another piece of paper, and you can do your own picture with your own crayons. Can you do that? I'll try, Tommy said with a big smile. And he did. And he did. Look, he drew the teacher, Mrs. Bowers. And he still does. So this was a story about Tommy DePaola. He is the little boy in this picture, and he still does lots of drawings. And if we were in class in our library, you'd be able to find some books that he wrote and drew. Okay, so that is reading. Let's look at some grammar real quick. Grammar, you're going to do page 119, 120, and 121. So on 119, you're going to draw a line under each noun and tell if it names a person, place, or a thing. So you can put a person, an animal, a place, or a thing. So draw a line under it and put either P for person, A for animal, T for thing, or PL for place. Okay? And then one or more than one. Draw a line under each noun that names more than one. And then 8 through 11, nouns with ES. Write each noun to name more than one. And nouns that change spelling, write each noun to name more than one. Remember, they change spelling. And then on the back, special nouns. These are the proper nouns. So write each special noun correctly, the names, their names. Pronouns, draw a line under the pronoun that can take the place of the underlined words. Naming yourself last, we learned that earlier in the year. Draw a line under the correct noun and pronoun. So remember, you always name yourself last. And to tell if it's I or me, take the other person out and say it with both I and me and which one makes sense. Nouns ending with apostrophe S or and S apostrophe. So write each group of words correctly with either apostrophe S or S apostrophe. And then on this page, you are proofreading the sports article. Find 5 mistakes with nouns, 1 mistake with pronouns, and 1 mistake with naming yourself last. Correct each mistake, then write the article correctly. So with your red pen, you're going to correct each one, and then on a separate piece of paper, you'll write the article again correctly. So this is our end of the year nouns test, okay? And that's grammar, and I'll see you a little bit for math.